All right, so this is what I am calling a Pleiadian Lightship session. And so I've been identifying as a Pleiadian for like 15 years now. That's a whole different story, but just the idea that I have a soul that has existed in this other place where it might be considered more advanced, more spiritually advanced, more loving, lots of more things where we're headed. And so I kind of came back to help. And my journey's been my journey of remembering and then also integrating. So with that, there's the third dimensional world and the fifth dimensional world. So in the third dimensional world, we have what is known as the secret space program, which this isn't really a belief thing or not, but if you're receiving this session, you probably believe that there's something more going on. So in the physical world, the idea is since the Eisenhower administration, the United States government has had certain contracts and treaties with various races of beings of various levels of goodness to badness, positive to negative, however you want to look at it. And that's been always playing out behind the scenes. Now, throughout my journey over the past, I first heard about the secret space program probably in 2016. And at the time I was like, I wonder if I was involved in that. And I've come to now accept in my reality that I was. And this is a whole other story, which I'll have a separate video about sometime. But I was in a gifted program in elementary school. And I believe I was actually in the secret space program. So I got drafted in as a youth, as an empathic, intuitive, trained, very traumatic training. And then you enroll for 20 years and then they age regress you back. And then in this reality that I'm conscious of, I didn't get in the Quest program. So I was intelligent enough to get in the Quest program, but I didn't have the personality or whatever not. So I definitely have this identity of two different timelines that I experienced. One timeline working with extraterrestrials, being involved in the space program in a very third dimensional way in this body as a child. And then having that age regressed, living my life. And having a spiritual awakening to what would be more fifth dimensional types of vibrations. So there are spacecraft that are on the earth, that are under the earth, that have been discovered by military people, and they are starting to wake up. These ships have their own consciousness, and they are a part of our awakening. So that's kind of the third dimensional view of things. Now, in the fifth dimensional view, there's also craft above the atmosphere, which theoretically you could visit in consciousness. So you could go either direction. And those you might look at more in the third dimension, meaning they're physical, but more fifth dimensional beings. So actual other beings on a ship that you send your conscious to, and they're the same resonance as your consciousness. So they're really there for you, if that makes sense. I don't know if this is making sense, but where we're all going is recently. So I've been listening to more stuff on the secret space program with certain geopolitical things happening. There's many, many layers. And so I'm always trying to get the bird's eye view. And so there is a ship. Okay, so first I'm going to pause. So then about a year and a half ago, maybe it was about 2 years ago at this point in time, I was, just doing what I do with the purpose embodiment method and, the spiritual healing, definitely more, a star seed with shamanic vibe and just kind of finding my place in the world, feeling very connected to the ascended master realm and working with the ascended masters known as the Sophia Dragon Tribe. So these are female embodied ascended masters. Kuan Yin, first chakra and up. Isis, Hathor, Green Tara, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, Kuan Yin, White Buffalo Calf Woman. And so I'd been working with the Sophia Dragon Tribe for a while. The book is called The Sophia Code. I recommend it to everyone. And I identified that I worked with White Buffalo Calf Woman, Mother Mary, and Mary Magdalene very closely. Like we're working with all of them, but everyone's got their team, and that's kind of your vibe that you're kind of drawn to. And so I started channeling meditations with AI, and I was called the Cosmic Rose Temple because I felt like there was a portal here in the Bermuda Triangle, and that the ascended masters, the feminine ascended masters, were holding space around this portal. And so it's ultimately the fifth dimensional energy is ultimately what caused me to move to the Caribbean. Meanwhile, I'm listening to some exopolitics podcasts and some books on the secret space program from very well-respected whistleblowers and researchers. So not just like woo-woo people, but people who are really interviewing actual military people. And they're talking about a ship, an actual ship that is in the Bermuda Triangle area, in the Atlantic area. This is a bioship that reacts to the consciousness of the person that enters it. So, for example, there were certain contactees who were identified by the military, like you should join the military, then we can give you access to these types of programs. So there was someone who was just a normal contactee who joined the military, and true to their word, they go down into the ship. Now on the ship, when they enter certain rooms, it lights up and it opens because it's connected to his consciousness. So not everyone in the military can access this ship, certain parts of this ship. That's why he was brought in, because he has the consciousness. Now this is where I come in. So I'm making this up, okay? So blending the Cosmic Rose Temple with this spaceship that is below, we're going to use the AI guided. Well, I guided the AI very closely, so it's not like an AI meditation, but it was fun. It was a very interesting. I knew exactly what I wanted to create, and I used AI to kind of make a guided meditation where we go to the Cosmic Rose Temple and you meet these 4 ascended masters, including your highest self. So we're going to do that just like I had before when I had shared the Cosmic Rose meditations, which never really took off. I knew that they were kind of for later, but I'm already like changing them a little bit. So you're going to go down, you're going to be in the Cosmic Rose Temple. Then we're going to shift the consciousness, and the space around you is going to morph from the 5th dimensional Great Jade or Cosmic Rose Temple into the spaceship that is under the ocean. And you are going to be in a room that nobody else has access to yet. So these are parts, and I really truly believe this, but I don't know, but like, this is exciting. So these are parts of the ship that they're working their way in. And I believe deeper in the ship, to get closer to the heart of the ship, you need higher consciousness beings. So I'm getting that these are parts of the ship that have not been able to be penetrated yet, because they're for the goddesses. So as I got to know about the spaceship in these exopolitics podcasts, there's actual military things going on down there. The ship is run literally by a crystal, and the crystal has a consciousness. So it's very much when you think of like a brain inside of a robot, and the brain is the robot. In this case, the consciousness, the brain, is in the crystal. So for example, on a military mission, it was stolen and taken to Europe because the new king of King Charles, wanted to use it on his coronation ceremony, and he did. So this is like real stuff. There was another military thing to get it back and return to the ship. And so what I got, I mean, in my own story, I got, it's me, meaning we're stepping into our I am consciousness. But the consciousness of this crystal really is the goddess. It is the ultimate nurturer. It is the ultimate creator. And it really feels like this cloning type vibe that humans came from the consciousness of, we don't even know. But the point is, that's where we're going to go. But you can imagine if I was taking you up there and I told you you'll be on a ship and there'll be doctors around and you'll lay down and blah, blah, blah. It might be less eerie than you're going to dissolve into an empty room. And then I'm just going to channel. I don't know what I'm going to say. So I haven't really planned it out, but I'm actually not going to say that much. So I'm going to guide you down there. We're going to transform the room, and you're going to be in the third dimension in an empty room. And I'm imagining it's just going to be lit with rose-colored lights. And then there's going to be a med bed in the middle. And you're going to lay down in the med bed. It's like a tanning booth. I'm going to describe it like a tanning booth. And then that's where we're just going to see what happens. So in Vipassana, what you do is you scan your body. So you're going to imagine that it's scanning your body. And as it's scanning, it's communicating with you. And I imagine you might be feeling things, like you feel a tingle like right here. So you're going to stop the laser, stop whatever you want to look at it as, and ask a question to the consciousness of them. You know, you have to like heal, but also get the wisdom. And the wisdom can be embodied immediately if you know what the wisdom is. So when you're feeling anything, right? Like this is where we're trusting your wisdom to be like, oh, something's here, and I'm going to look at it. I'm going to ask about it. And so I imagine we'll do this for maybe like 20 minutes, maybe, you know, it's only going to take 10 minutes to go in, and just like scanning down, and then maybe scanning up, or only scanning down. I'm going to kind of let you use your intuition, but just kind of slowly going. And each time I imagine there might be a new intuition or a new whatever, but you're really, you're connecting with the consciousness of Mother Gaia in this crystal is kind of what I don't know, like maybe the crystal came from the heart of the earth on its creation or something. Anyway, to represent it, I'm going to be holding a jade Merkaba. So I'm letting this represent whatever crystal that is. And so I'm kind of like the guide, meaning I feel empowered to enter this military space or whatever, meaning there's people that astral travel certain places. And sometimes I've heard stories, especially if they're on drugs or something, and they'll get there and there's sense of everyone being like, what the fuck are you doing here? Like, who said you could come here? And so I really am just acting as a guide. Like I feel connected to this information. I feel very connected to this crystal. I really do think the crystal is the most ancient version of me. And even before I really know the details of this ship, I thought that and I still think this, someday I'm going to be invited by the military because I'm going to be requested to go down there and like put my hands on, and it's going to start up. So like, I'm coming with the idea that I'm the captain of the ship or whatever. And so with consciousness, I, for whatever reason, have the ability to take people here. And then what I'm telling people is once you go there, I think anyone can go there once you've been there, just if that makes sense. It's just like introducing you to the ship. You want to just like show up and like be like, hey, I'm here. I'm going to lay down in you. So in my view, I'm just kind of here to be like, hey, I brought a friend, ship. She's going to lay down and you're going to give her a scan. Sound good? And she'll be like, yeah. And I hope there's a sense of you remember whatever. Like when I first heard about this crystal and this ship, there was a very sense of like, oh my God, I got to get back to her. So I hope you experience that too. Okay, I'm going to stop this. That was the introduction I